Wednesday, and that means it's time for our weekly legislative update. This week, it's the Democrats' turn, and joining us in studio, Senator Brian Fernandez and Representative Stephanie Stahl Hamilton. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Representative, we're going to start with you because you had a very busy day. Your Right to Contraception Act, was it heard today? What happened today?
Well, it was not heard today, and as a matter of fact, I couldn't even say the word contraception when we made a motion to temporarily make a temporary change in order to get the bill up on the board for a reading.
So basically, what's this business if you can't mention certain words? What was that all about?
Well, it was a ruling of the chair, the speaker tempore. When we made the motion to put the bill up on the board, I had to defend the reason why I was making that motion, and I was cautioned not to say any of the words or I would be gavelled down.
Okay, so where does the bill stand then, right now?
Oh, it's dead.
It's dead. Okay,
Yeah.
What would it have called for? What did it call for? What would it?
There's three simple things. The bill simply states that it's called the Arizona Right to Contraception Act, and it would state that every person in Arizona has a right to contraception. It would allow medical providers to prescribe contraception and also give information regarding contraception.
Now, the critics are saying, and the Republicans are saying, that there is no one really trying to block contraception. Do they have a point?
If they're not trying, then why not just vote this and enshrine this into law? But when we're talking about reproductive freedom and reproductive health care and the rights that we do have, I will say there are some states that have moved to disallow or ban IUDs, which is a form of contraception. And when we're talking about family planning, the hit that was taken in Alabama to say that we no longer can choose how we get pregnant because, IVF, in vitro fertilization, is one of those ways that helps. And so that's just the other end of the spectrum when we're talking about family planning. We want to be able to become pregnant when and how we want, as well as not become pregnant when and how we want.
So when critics, though, say that the bill itself is not necessary, and I think it was described as a scare tactic, you say...
It's not a scare tactic. It is a right, and while it may not be under attack right now by extremists, I think our state is going to follow suit with so many other states. So if it's not under attack, then why not let's just put this issue to rest, vote it, get it enshrined to law, and be done with it.
What about other abortion-related bills? Where do they stand?
Any bill that promotes reproductive freedoms right now has not been heard in committee, and now that we've reached crossover week in each respective chamber have not been heard.
Yeah, it sound familiar over there in the Senate?
Same, yes. We had a similar motion, and we were not gavelled down. We were able to use whatever words that we chose, but it still did not pass.
As far as hearing bills, are Democratic bills being heard at the legislature much, if at all?
At all, yes. So we have, I believe, 7 or 8% of the bills that we've proposed have been gotten to committee, and that's pretty normal. That might even be better than it has been in previous years, but it's nowhere near parity.
Senator Warren Peterson has said that the Democratic agenda is out of touch, and that's one of the reasons why bills aren't being heard. How do you respond to that?
Oh, I disagree. I think that the bills that we have really have a lot of support within Arizona. If you look at them, bill by bill, our bills are actually supported by everyday people. I think that the bills that many Republicans have proposed have been far more extreme. We're looking for ways to help Arizonans, everyday Arizona families. I think that the Senate Republicans and the House Republicans, for that matter, have just chosen an extremist agenda.
But they do say that the Democratic agenda is not addressing top issues like immigration and inflation, these sorts of things. Again, how do you respond to that?
Well, I go back to immigration, and actually for that question, you've got two people here who our districts make up almost the whole of the state of Arizona. There's just one port of entry that we don't have between our shared districts, and they are next to each other. And I would say that what's happening on the border and the talking points that we are hearing now is a political ploy. There was a bipartisan legislation taking place at the federal level that is still sitting on a desk somewhere.
Right, but that's at the federal level. As far as the state is concerned,
That's a federal issue. And so anything that we would put forward is unconstitutional. Immigration is a federal issue that needs to be addressed at the federal level.
an issue that you brought up is pay for state lawmakers, not necessarily folks at the legislature like you, but state officials. What's that all about? Where does it stand?
So I'm holding that bill. So that the bill would just simply attach the governor's salary to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, that is, and then every other would be an interval lower than the governor's salary. It wouldn't take effect until the next election. So this slate of elected officials might not even see those pay raises. But I maintain that it's probably not a good time to do this, but I think it's good policy. I think it's something that we really need. Senator Kavanaugh, when it was heard it through his committee, and one of the things he said is you get what you pay for. And I think that the state of Arizona has gotten what they paid for in terms of elected officials.
With that in mind, your bill was obviously governor, attorney general, secretary of state, treasurer, superintendent of public instruction, statewide offices, but not folks at the legislature. You guys haven't had a raise since the 90s. What's going on there?
Well, we can give raises to statewide officials without going to the voters. That can be done, independently. For a raise for the for the legislative roles that you're speaking of, we have to go to the voters. The voters usually vote no on those. So I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about other folks, even though I think that we probably should give a raise to folks, and not speaking for myself, but I think others.
Last question for both of you. Working relationship with the governor, and some little bumpy roads there last session. What about this session? What are you seeing? Has it improved? And if so, how?
Yeah, no, there's been a concerted effort to be in conversation with the governor and the governor's staff. I think the lines of communication are open. There is a clear channel of communication that has been established, and so it's very clear on how we get information to the governor and how information comes to us. Which it's been really nice to have things tightened up a little bit. Yeah.
Any tangible results out of that, though? I mean, are you seeing any, first of all, are you seeing the same kind of improvements? And A, and B, what's coming of it?
I think that every year the governor's staff is getting better at communication. It's hard to say, in result, because we really haven't had that many bills signed yet. We're not getting to that point in the session. So I think that the proof will probably be in the pudding at that point.
I can say that when every year at the beginning of this session, we hear a preview in appropriations. We do hear a preview of the governor's budget and budget priorities. And last year was very, very bumpy. This year, we went in with, we had an opportunity to get a preview of that, have our talking points ready to roll, and we were very well prepared. And the governor's office, it came in and did a fantastic job. And so I think just procedural stuff has really has been tightened up and very professional.
Some improvement there. Representative Stephanie Stahl Hamilton, Senator Brian Fernandez, good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.